Tashi Dele, welcome to the final class in the Guhyagarbha. So this week we will conclude the remaining sections of the commentary by Mipham Rinpoche. And we will start here with the seventh one, attainment or accomplishment. And here he's talking about the siddhis, various siddhis. And so attainment, according to our other commentary here, is the acquisition of the supreme and common spiritual accomplishments, or siddhis, through the secret mantras. So they're either considered to be supreme or common. There are ancillary supports that include material sacraments, mantra recitation, meditative stability, and physical postures that can be included as a part of support for this. The essence, though, is the generation and perfection stages called the four aspects of ritual service and attainment. Maha-yoga includes feast offerings, or tsoks, whereby male and female yogins attain the rank of awareness holders by means of the four aspects of ritual service and attainment. So that is a very brief summary of what we're looking at here in this particular section. So starting on page 112 in Mipham's text here, the section on accomplishment. Under the essence, moving over to 113 here at the top, sadhana means to take up fully, to take up and attain one's desired objective or accomplish it. So a sadhana is usually used to describe a practice text, the thing that we use to apply what we learn in a tantra or other teachings. And then accomplishment also can mean to derive from the word, can also be derived from the word siddhi. And so here we refer to them as spiritual attainments, both the common and supreme. Supreme, of course, being enlightenment. Then there are several divisions, and he divides these in this case into general and specific classifications. In terms of general explanation, the first, he talks about the common and the supreme spiritual attainments are what are accomplished. The common are various minor and major acts, and the supreme are either temporary or ultimate. These are practices such as resurrections, longevity, mirror divinations, and so forth, meant to accomplish common spiritual attainments, while Vajrasattva, group accomplishment, medicinal accomplishment, and so forth are supreme spiritual attainments. Although generally we only talk about the supreme attainments as being related to enlightenment, but here he has included other specific practices being related to that. Then we have the term of the various supports that are used. So various outer implements might be used as a part of that. The mantra, certainly meditative concentration and physical actions or mudra kind of things are also included as a part of that. Various minor activities, he notes that these are not really genuine accomplishments. A genuine accomplishment enables one to attain the ultimate fruition swiftly and easily. So not all of these things do that, but they may help support that process in some way. So nevertheless, he says, when embraced by special methods and knowledge such as compassion, even lesser activities become part of the genuine path. And they may be necessary on a temporary basis here and there, that we do those kinds of things to facilitate that process. Going on to page 114, the second line, although enlightened activity can be grouped under accomplishment, accomplishment is method, while activity is fruition. So he's differentiating here between the use of those two terms. The next paragraph then, there are divisions in terms of essence of accomplishment. This refers to the accomplishment based on the development and completion stages of the practice. And then the next paragraph, there are divisions in terms of the principle of accomplishment. And then he breaks that down and gives several different examples of the kind of things that can apply there. Then the next part is group accomplishment. And so here, this is called exceptional accomplishment because it is cause, essence, and fruition are superior. So then he goes through each of these a little bit. The cause, because the blessings it generates are due to the power of the implements and the assembly of male and female practitioners all coming together at the same time. So this is what we would do in a Ghana chakra. And a Ghana chakra, as you recall, could include basically a feast activity, the most common way that this is done, but it also can include a gathering for the purpose of doing the sexual yoga practices. The essence is because of the ability to attain the fruition without any obstacles, and is due to continuous effort. The fruition, one attains the undefiled state of a knowledge holder, Vidyadhara. And we talked about the various classifications of Vidyadharas. And then in the next paragraph, with this form of group accomplishment, the basis is maintained via the 5 perfections. He doesn't really he gives the list of the 5 perfections here, talks about each one a little bit. The state of the 4 knowledge holders is quickly accomplished in 36 days or some such period. The 5 perfections are the perfect place, time, teacher, retinue, and substance. So the perfect place is any auspicious place. The time is when the time has come to engage in group accomplishment. Usually begins on some auspicious day, looking at the calendar, and then lasts until the activities are completed. The perfect teacher is a master who's learned in the profound scriptures of secret mantra and has gained power in their meaning and is worthy to be the Vajra king, the Vajra king being the leader of the activity. The perfect retinue is the regent, wife, skeleton dancers, karma, eyes, sweeper, and so on, and the various qualities associated with those that are equal in number to the deities. And then the perfect substance are the edible sustenance, the various offerings that are made as a part of that, illness-averting medicines, implements, and substances for accomplishment. Then we have the 4 aspects of approach and accomplishment. And so first we have pleasing the deity, which represents the approach. And then one becomes genuinely oriented toward attaining the spiritual attainments, is related to the close approach. And then gains in spiritual accomplishments are the accomplishment. And then great accomplishment part, that's the 4th one, refers to the full accomplishment. And then the next paragraph, to dispel adverse conditions, we set the outer boundary, we subdue the samaya breakers, and then the inner boundary can be set and the mandala erected. And then there are various preparations that we go through as a part of the process related to the mandala, the deities, the master, the various substances, and the students. So one first draws the mandala image on the place that has been blessed. The substances are arranged, implements are blessed, the mandala recitation is performed, offerings are made, the mandala is entered, and one receives the empowerment. So this constitutes the approach part of the process. And then following the practice text and with effort, we have signs of accomplishment. So this represents the close approach. Then accomplishment consists of the stable signs of accomplishment through practice. So there may be some things that are not completely stable, but once those stabilize, those are signs that we look for. And then it says if the deity is peaceful, one transforms it into a wrathful deity, or one visualizes the deity's radiation and absorption. The first part of that is a little bit different than what we typically see in the practice, that we don't actually transform the peaceful deity into the wrathful deity. And when we looked at the commentary by Longchenpa, that was not part of the process. Then also the food, drinks, ornaments, garments, and so forth are enjoyed as a part of the empty bliss, and deities are pleased, and so we have stable signs of spiritual attainment that are actualized. So these all relate to the accomplishment phase. Then we get to the final phase, the great accomplishment phase. And here he talks about doing this basically overnight. So first of all, he says between dusk and dawn. So dusk would be the setting of the sun, and dawn would be the coming of the sun in the morning. So the attainments of the enlightened body, speech, and mind are done during this time. So at dusk, we practice radiation and absorption. So this would be the visualization of the light going out and coming back and so forth. And acquire accomplishments from the deities. And we practice liberation and take accomplishments from the enemy. Now, I would assume that when he's referring to enemy here, that he's probably talking about our own inner demons and obscurations and so forth. But there are places where it makes a more literal description of some of these things. So that might be the case in a few cases as well. Then at dawn, we practice union with the consort and take accomplishment from one's consort. This is a form of group practice in this case, and will gradually induce the symbolic and actual wisdoms, and one will come to dwell on the level of a noble one. Previously attained forms of realization will gradually develop until the unified state of non-learning has been reached. This in turn will enable one to attain levels of the four knowledge holders, of the four Vidyadharas. The principle involved in this particular one, it breaks into two parts on how to accomplish this, and secondly the fruition of that. So the first part is how do we accomplish it? Well, we begin with the development stage of the practice. And we focus our attention, that's the focal support. It could be the Buddha statue or the Thangka painting or other things that are used as a visual support for that. And then we progress through the 5 meditation experiences and attain accomplishment by becoming proficient in the practice of appearance and existence, being divine form. So the various aspects, the approach, meditating one pointedly on the divine form is the close approach, and then the gaining stability is accomplishment, perfecting the practice is the great accomplishment. Then there are 2 variations for the completion stage that he details a little bit. So first we have the completion stage with signs, and so the first one is the method, and the second, without signs, is outcome. So here we're looking at it with signs. And so this constitutes the approach. We use the support of our own body to produce the experience of empty bliss using the subtle substances, energetic practices, and inner heat. So typical inner practices of the completion stage. And then the completion stage without signs is the accomplishment, where one utilizes the support of another's body, and through the practices of descent, retention, reversal, and pervasion. So this would be the bodhicitta coming down and retaining it at the tip of the vajra and then bringing it back up without ejaculation as a part of that. And then moving on to page 117 in that second paragraph at the top, about 5 lines down, it mentions the close approach. Close approach is the union of the vajra and lotus. Accomplishment is the arousal of the first 3 joys. Great accomplishment is the experience of co-emergent joy. The 4 joys themselves are also the 4 aspects of approach and accomplishment. So he's giving different ways that these can be broken down into those 4 categories, and there's a variety of ways that they can be inferred from this. And so he's giving us various lists of those. Going down 2 more paragraphs, then the middle of the page, as for the completion stage without features, so he elaborates a little bit on this, the luminous great perfection. So we're talking here about Mahamudra or Dzogchen. Okay? Completion stage without features. Practitioners with a gradual inclination will be able to assess the primordial stage. Students with sharp faculties suited for instantaneous approach of the great perfection will not need to rely on the blissful melting or other such methods. They will be able to enter this state merely by the power of the Master's key instructions and the transference of blessings. So that would be through the process of the pointing out instructions of the Lama and so forth, the blessings received from those teachings. In either case, this is a sacred fruition of all other completion stage practices. So we don't necessarily have to do it through the traditional completion stage practices. It can be done through that final stage of the Mahamudra and Dzogchen. Continuing in the next paragraph, the Master's key instructions enable one to recognize directly and nakedly that the nature of one's own mind is empty yet aware. The self-occurring wisdom, free from constructs. And this is a state without accepting or rejecting. In terms of approach, this is to receive the key instructions. The close approach involves understanding the nature. On the next page at the top, the accomplishment refers to training in accord with this understanding. And then great accomplishment involves gaining certainty. So then, clinging to the efforts of the path and claims of philosophical positions of the 8 vehicles have collapsed. So we've transcended the first 8 vehicles into the 9th vehicle of Ati Yoga here. So this natural great mandala can be accessed only through the strength of self-awareness. And then the wisdom will dawn as natural luminosity. So then we have the fruition of the accomplishment, which he breaks into 3 parts. And so for the first part, he discusses the development stage and the wisdom of appearance. And so here, this refers to the appearance of the created form of the deity. And then for the completion stage, it refers to the divine forms and other limitless appearances that manifest within the state of luminosity. Mere products of the energetic mind and only a self-display. So the ones that occur in the state of luminosity are ones that only occur within our own mind. Actually, both of these, when we're visualizing these, unless we're looking at them in a manifest form, like a picture or a statue or something like that. The second one is the wisdom of emptiness. And this one actually refers to luminous emptiness. So the first one was appearance emptiness. This is luminous emptiness. With the wisdom of emptiness, one dissolves the deity's appearance and contemplates without maintaining mental reference point. The completion stage experience the fourfold emptiness based on conceptual methods. During the last emptiness, co-emergent luminosity is seen. And so when we talk about Buddha nature, we talk about luminous emptiness. So there's a kind of a clarity that evolves. And so that's what we're referring to here in terms of the wisdom of emptiness. There's clarity about emptiness there. The next paragraph then actually refers to awareness emptiness. He says the wisdom of unity, the natural state of all phenomena, basic space and awareness, is experienced as natural luminosity, free from fabricated visualizations and methods that require conscious effort. So this is like in the Mahamudra or Dzogchen, just the pure awareness emptiness. These three wisdoms are realization of the natural state of purity, equality, and indivisibility, respectively. In essence, the illusory body appears as emptiness. Luminosity is one's unobstructed self-display, and these two are a unity. So they're really not different from each other. They're just different ways of looking at the same thing. In the following paragraph, starting in the third line there, he goes through defining these terms a little bit more. Purity demonstrates the relative purity of the deity, and ultimate is purified of conceptual activity. Equality demonstrates relative indivisible equality of Buddhas and sentient beings. Okay, all sentient beings are Buddhas. And ultimate equality of basic space free from constructs. Both terms have the ability to illustrate primordial enlightenment. Okay, so they are equal in that regard. Then in the next paragraph, one may distinguish between experience and realization. Experiences could be classified as things like stable, unstable, and so forth, which he then goes on to elaborate a little bit on 4 different modes of that. Literal meaning, general meaning, hidden meaning, and ultimate meaning. And in the following paragraph, training in meditative absorption on the path of the subtle experience and so forth can induce the experience of the fourfold emptiness. That broadly resembles the manner in which luminosity is sustained in relation to union, deep sleep, and dying. However, until the subtle energetic mind has been dissolved, there can be no ultimate luminosity. So luminosity, in the next paragraph, has the identity of unceasing clarity of awareness. So there's the luminosity and clarity are often used interchangeably with each other. A couple more lines down, so this unceasing clarity of awareness of one taste with basic space. The inexpressible unity of appearance and emptiness is the nature of mind. Continuing on page 120, he quotes here from the Unexcelled Continuity, the third quote down there. The nature of mind is luminous and unchanging like space. Although desire and the rest appear from incorrect concepts, it remains undisturbed by these temporary stains. Okay, so they all still have that pure nature, even though they're clouded or covered up on a temporary basis. Then skipping down to the next to the last paragraph, begins with the word therefore. The mind's natural state is a primordial unity of inseparable basic space and awareness, beyond comprehension by dualistic concepts. It dwells without transition or change. It is experienced as a non-dual self-clarity of reality itself. And continuing in the very last paragraph there at the bottom, if one does not part from wisdom, there will be neither confusion nor liberation. One will simply dwell in the ground. However, when distracted circumstances cause one to stray, one will be in discord with the ground and give rise to dualistic perception. This is what we call mind, or everyday mind, or ordinary mind, not to confuse it with ordinary mind in a Zen tradition, but just everyday mind, our usual way of looking at mind. The repository for all the habitual tendencies of samsara, like a storage container. When this self-expression manifests undistortedly, it is called wisdom. Wisdom is like a fire that burns the thicket of duality and the predispositions for samsara, bringing liberation. It is very important not to confuse the essential points of these two, that is, consciousness and wisdom. Okay? Ordinary kinds of mind. The 6 consciousnesses of the 5 sense consciousnesses and mind consciousness. ordinary kind of consciousness. And then he quotes from the Sutra of Descent into Lanka. Mind performs actions and so on, while wisdom is what distinguishes. And then below the next quote, consciousness and wisdom are similar in terms of merely being aware. So this is awareness of things versus awareness itself. So merely being aware and knowing. However, they differ insofar as one fails to correctly comprehend its object, while the other is an unmistaken awareness of the object as it is. That's the pure awareness, the latter. Continuing in the next paragraph, in terms of the ground, these are like ice and water. So ice and water are essentially two different forms of the same thing. So that's the analogy being made here. And then from the Wheel of Time, the Kala Chakra, the quote at the bottom, starting on the second line, what is awareness? It is the emptiness of inner awareness and unchanging bliss also. Then unchanging luminosity is that which appears as the entirety of the three worlds, and that which it dissolves, into which it dissolves again. So at the top of the next page, wisdom is situated within the ground. However, since the basic space of phenomena is the union of appearance and emptiness, it is not simply a mere empty state. It possesses the quality of clear awareness, beyond confusion and liberation. It is very important not to mistake this for liberated wisdom, that arises from the display of the ground once it has genuinely realized it for what it is. So one of the things that happens in the process of studying these things is that there is the ordinary mind, and then there's the essence of that, or nature of that mind, but there's also kind of a concept of what that ultimate is actually like. And so we can differentiate the real thing from our idea of the real thing. Okay? Skipping the next paragraph, and then the one that starts in this way. The mantras and mudras that are the primary elements of the development and completion stages are brought together. Temporary and ultimate objectives are accomplished quickly and with ease. This is the accomplishment of secret mantra. The purpose here, the purpose section, accomplishment, I'm skipping a couple of lines, is what actualizes the meaning that was ascertained via the view and enables one to capture the ultimate and lasting dominion. Diligent conduct that employs mandala, absorptions, samayas, empowerments, offerings, mantra, and mudra will allow one to gain spiritual attainments. Thereby one will engage in manifold enlightened activities for the sake of others. In this way, accomplishment encompasses all the other aspects of training as well. So again, they become merged together. In the second line of the next paragraph, one's own mind has been Buddha from the very beginning. There is nothing to accomplish. Resting in the state of spontaneously present equality and perfection with an understanding of this point is the perfection of accomplishment. So that concludes the accomplishment section, number 7.